everybody. My name is Shamrock, the 5-time undefeated Ultimate Fighting Champion. And in this program, I'd like to show you how to avoid the takedown, how to defend the takedown, and how to stay on top. And for this, we'll bring Kelly in, my partner Kelly Delonte. We're going to start with showing you the dynamics of a takedown and why a takedown works. That way we can understand it and combat it in the future. So the dynamics of a takedown are that he lowers his level or position and actually attacks or grabs my hips. Taking my hips out from me takes away my balance and my stance, which will eventually get me down. There are 3 parts of a takedown. The first part is impact, and that's usually what gets people down. And the impact in this instance is lowering of the body weight, striking the center of the hips or stomach area, and then pulling out. So you have an impact similar to a punch that pushes the inside of your body out, which disrupts your balance here. So that impact starts like this and actually strikes the body either on the shoulder or the head and pushes through the body like this. So that it takes the hips, blasts them backwards, and begins to fold you down. That's number one, first part dynamic of the takedown. The second dynamic of the takedown is angles, changing of angles. So after an impact, usually a good takedown will begin moving to either direction, which will disrupt your balance even more. So we have a piece of impact which messes up your stance, and then we usually have them pushing sideways, which further disrupts your body, brings you over to one of the sides. So those are the first 2 dynamics of a takedown. The third dynamic for the takedown is the lifting of the hips. So we have impact, we have angle changes, and now we have lifting of the hips. And all of your throws, all of your body lifts, all of your clinches involve lifting of the hips. So one of the dynamics of the takedown that you really have to avoid is anyone getting their hips underneath yours and actually being able to lift you up. And once you're up in the air, you're done. So anything from the side or any other situation that lifts your hips in the air makes you immediately vulnerable and should be avoided at all times. Impact, angle change, and lifting of the hips are your biggest problems for takedown. The fourth dynamic is trips. And trips are hard to recognize, but they're easy to avoid if you're maintaining a good stance and you're not letting someone manipulate your body with impact, angle changes, or lifts. Trips are easy. They usually follow from one of the first dynamics. So if I get an impact on him and he doesn't go down, then a lot of times I'll just put a leg around him and keep the technique going and push him the rest of the way down. If I get a good lift on him, a good body clench, and I lift his hips, it's really easy for me just to throw my leg under and turn him down, trip him down the rest of the way. So there's 4 dynamics that we're really going to focus in on avoiding the takedown. If you can understand the dynamics and what's happening to your body, then we can start building techniques to combat those. That's where we're going to stay on our feet. That's where we're going to be most effective. Now that we understand the dynamics of a takedown, let's discuss distance and awareness. That'll really begin to give us an idea and a concept of how to avoid the takedown. The thing about distance is if you can touch him or he can touch you, he can get you down with a takedown. That's what you have to understand. Is similar to striking, you have a good stance. If at any time he can touch you or manipulate, any contact with your body, he can get you down and get you down very easy. So you have to realize that once I get into a situation where there's touching or there's any kind of contact, I'm vulnerable to a takedown. Now I have to control this distance. And I can control it through striking. I can control it through movement. I can control it through a number of ways. But I have to be aware what he's going to do once this distance is achieved. Now there's 3 things that he's going to do. First one, he's going to change levels. Similar to striking, he's going to change levels to try and come in and attack my hips. I have to be aware that when that level change comes, a takedown is coming after that. So if we were squared off and I was looking at his body, the second a level change comes, I got to be aware and I got to change position, or I'm going to be very vulnerable to the takedown. The second thing I have to be aware of for the takedown is him reaching into my body. When he reaches into my body, I have to know that he's going to try and grab control of my waist and get inside and grab control of my hips. So punches are easy to see. They're straight. At least good, powerful punches are. wrestling grabs or clinches, you can see them when they come. They come inside of the body and they reach around it. I have to be conscious of when those come, what's going to come next after it. The third principle for recognizing and being aware of a takedown is his forward motion or his dropping of his body. Once he lets that weight go and drops it on my leg or on my hips or on my body, I'm really vulnerable because he's immediately going to begin bending me backward. So we got three principles we're working with. The last one is dropping your weight on the body. So go ahead and I just want you to step in and drop all your weight on me and smack me. So this is something that I can see if I'm aware. Watch my piece of energy. Just going to go boom, and I'm going to drop onto his body. Now that's a little different than just changing the angle, and it's different than reaching inside. So we have three separate techniques that we want to be aware of. All three of those lead to a takedown. So all three of those you've got to be conscious of, and you have to be ready that when he makes his reaction to either move out of the way or do your secondary counter. Now that we're aware of the takedown, we understand what's going to happen, we can begin to move out of the way. The key to moving out of the way in anything is footwork. We've got a few footwork drills and movement types that'll get you out of the way of that impact of his takedown or the hands reaching or him trying to drop on your body. Similar to striking, anytime he makes a forward motion, he's going to bring one of those principles of takedowns towards me. What I should be doing, what I have to do, just like striking, is I should always be stepping outside of that foot. I should always be trying to get outside of his power. His power is coming straight forward at me, reaching straight forward. I should always be keeping him at 12 o'clock and stepping on the other side of that foot. That way, when he wants to shoot or take me down, he's got to change or turn, or he won't even be lined up with me. So easy, same as in boxing, same as in striking, is the same as in wrestling. Move your foot to the outside. I should always be moving my foot to the outside. So if we were in a stance, and I wanted to strike, and he wanted to wrestle, every time I would step, he would have to counter-step his foot back. And we would always be trying to step to the outside of that foot. It's a simple concept and a simple idea, but it takes him out of his power source. That way, if he comes for me, he's not lined up. He's over here a little bit. That's your first key to getting out of the path of a takedown. Let's do some more feet work and more feet drills to get yourself out of the way of that intention of the takedown. Now that we're recognizing, we understand what's going on, we've stepped off to the left. Anytime forward motion comes to me, I'm in danger of a takedown. When that takedown comes, the easiest thing is to move out of the way. So, stepping off to the left, stepping off to the right, moves myself out of his power range. The other thing I can do is, if he reaches for my body, I can move my feet off to the side. And it's just a little foot switch here. When I'm conscious of what's going on, I'm going to propel my hips and my body, and I'm going to cut a little corner and move right out of the way. This is what you would do in boxing, this is what you do in kickboxing, and it's what you do in wrestling. Get out of the way of the angle so that he can't grab these three things that we talked about earlier of him getting you down. A couple drills you can do are simple. Try and touch my leg. That movement, try and touch my leg. That movement is enough to give you the distance to either strike or grab or move again and get out of the way. Simple feet movements will keep you in this position and away from being taken down. If you want to use constant movement or you want to use any of these other principles, pulling, pushing, always be stepping off and always be moving your leg out of the way. Those two simple movements will keep you out of harm's way for most takedowns.